Chosen one, you were always searching, weren't you? From the moment you were aware, you felt the pull of something greater, something deeper than the surface rituals and traditions you encountered. Maybe it was the hum of a quiet morning when the first light spills over the horizon, whispering that there is more, that you are more. But then, you walked into places that promised sanctuary, tall doors, grand hymns, voices calling out in harmony. You took a breath and stepped inside, your heart beating with anticipation. Finally, you thought, a space where my soul can rest, where I can be seen, known, embraced. But chosen one, what awaited you inside? Was it the warmth you longed for, or the kind of silence that echoes louder than any song? Did your eyes meet warmth, or did they find cold stares dissecting your being, as if weighing your worth? Did whispers seep into the air, not as prayers but as subtle comments trailing your path? You looked around and realized that while the pews were packed, you had never felt more alone. There, within these hallowed walls, it hit you. You weren't in a place of spiritual unity, you were an outsider staring through an invisible veil, separating the insiders from everyone else. It wasn't written in scripture or spoken in sermons, but it was there in the glances exchanged, in the tight circles that never opened. The church wasn't just a sanctuary, it was a private club, a fortress of familiarity where newcomers were strangers who needed to prove their worth. But you, chosen one, you are different. You don't just hear the words, you feel their truth. You don't just seek ritual, you seek resonance. And when the church no longer echoed back what your spirit needed, you began to understand why you stood apart. It wasn't a rejection of faith, it was a call to authenticity, a realization that what you were seeking might not be found within four walls built by hands, but in spaces only your heart could open. Why do some find the strength to walk away? Why does the promise of community sometimes fall short of the ideals it stands for? What happens when a place that should be filled with love and open arms becomes a battleground of conformity and silent judgment? Chosen one, today we'll journey into why some like you have looked at those towering spires and decided that churches, as they stand, are not for you. We'll unravel the invisible threads, dissect the contradictions, and explore the essence of why spiritual longing doesn't always align with structured gatherings. By the end of this, you'll know that you're not alone, that your path is not a divergence, but a testament to seeking deeper truths. So, if you've ever questioned, if you've ever walked out with more questions than answers, this is for you. Stay with me as we uncover the reality beneath the ritual, the yearning behind the doctrine, and why your path, chosen one, may be leading you somewhere beyond the steeple's shadow. But first, a small favor. If you find value in this journey, if you feel seen and understood, take a moment to subscribe. Chosen one, to understand why so many like you have looked at the grandness of churches and felt a disconnect, we must first look back. Imagine a time centuries ago when people gathered not in cathedrals of stone, but under open skies or in humble homes. The early days of faith were raw, pure, bound by simple acts of togetherness and the fire of belief that sparked even in the darkest nights. The church was more than a building, it was a refuge, a collective heartbeat of hope and shared purpose. But as the years rolled on, something began to shift. The small gatherings grew, and with growth came structure, organization, and formality. Cathedrals rose, magnificent and awe-inspiring, a testament to devotion but also a monument to power. The church's role expanded beyond spiritual guidance. It became a cornerstone of society, interwoven with politics, culture, and social hierarchy. This wasn't necessarily wrong. In many ways, it served to unify, to give communities a center from which to draw strength and purpose. Yet, chosen one, here lies the paradox. What began as a wellspring of communal love began to carry the weight of expectation. Churches became places where tradition mattered as much as, if not more than, the message. The songs were sung, the scriptures were read. But did the spirit of those words always find their way into the actions of those gathered? Did the warmth of love, spoken so often, translate into welcoming arms for the stranger who entered from the storm? For those with a heightened sensitivity, like you, a difference between what is preached and what is practiced becomes all too clear. You see the joy in shared rituals, but you also see the unspoken lines that separate those who belong from those who must work to be accepted. You feel the vibration of the music, but beneath it, you catch the murmur of judgment. You notice that what once united now, at times, divides. When the church became more than a place of worship, when it became an institution, it inadvertently created an environment where familiarity could breed exclusion. Longtime members formed bonds that newcomers, no matter how well-intentioned, struggled to break into. The spirit of shared spiritual awakening was overshadowed by the subtle undercurrent of us and them. But why, you may ask, is this important, chosen one? Because to understand your place you must understand why this dynamic feels so at odds with what your spirit seeks. You aren't looking for ritual for the sake of ritual. You seek connection, a community where each voice matters, where the divine is felt in action, not just in speech. The Church's history is a tapestry of love and transformation, but also of complexity woven with the golden thread of hope and the shadow of human imperfection. And this is why many like you are beginning to step away. It's not a rejection of faith. It's a call to reclaim it in its purest form, to find or create spaces where love is not conditional, where guidance is shared without expectation, where community isn't just a word but a living, breathing truth. Chosen one, you aren't turning your back on the essence of spirituality. You're listening to the whisper within that says, seek more. Find the place where you feel seen, where the sacred lives beyond the four walls. And so we move on. We move deeper to the moments that make newcomers feel unwelcome, the subtle ways in which churches, even unintentionally, say, this is not for you. But before we do, take a deep breath. Reflect on your own experiences. Does any of this resonate with your story? Stay with me as we unravel the barriers that exist, the silent messages that speak louder than sermons, and why you, chosen one, might have chosen a path outside those grand doors. Chosen one, you stand at the threshold of a place that promises refuge. You step in, seeking not just to hear, but to feel, to be enveloped in a sense of belonging. Yet, within moments, the reality unfolds. The voices of the choir echo beautifully, yet something in the air feels off. You look around, hoping for a nod of acknowledgement, a welcoming smile. But instead, you find cold stares, eyes that glance at you as though you've wandered into a gathering where your invitation was lost. It's subtle at first. You tell yourself it's just nerves, that first-time tension we all feel in unfamiliar spaces. But then, the whispers begin, not the comforting kind that says, we're glad you're here, but the kind that hums with curiosity and quiet judgment. They're talking, but not to you. Their voices brush past you like the wind, making you aware that here, you're different. Chosen one, you deserve to know this is not your fault. This feeling of being an outsider, of being looked at but never truly seen, stems from an unwritten code that many churches have unknowingly embraced. An atmosphere of familiarity that, to the uninitiated, feels like a private club. It's in the way long-time members gather, their faces bright with shared memories and traditions, while the new faces at the edge of the room struggle to find a foothold in this living story that has no space for new chapters. And then there's the subtle weight of expectation, the quiet pressure that creeps into your soul, saying, do you fit in here? It's not always spoken aloud, but it doesn't have to be. You see it in the side glances when you don't know the words to a hymn, or when your attire doesn't mirror the unspoken standard. You feel it when everyone else seems to understand the motions, the pauses, the small rituals that make you feel like an actor in a play where you never received the script. Chosen one, the church was meant to be a home for the weary, a place where differences were not just tolerated but celebrated. Yet sometimes, even in places filled with words of love and acceptance, the warmth can be reserved for those who already belong. And so, you find yourself there, listening to a sermon that speaks of open doors and open hearts, while the reality around you tells a different story. But you, chosen one, are not easily swayed by words alone. You feel the spaces between the words, the energy behind the actions. You know that acceptance is more than being allowed to enter. It's being invited to stay and thrive. And when that invitation never comes, when the smiles are polite but don't reach the eyes, you begin to wonder if this place, this grand hall of voices and verses, is where your spirit can truly grow. Perhaps you walked in hoping for community, only to find that community here has its own language, its own rules, ones that silently tell you to change, to mold yourself into their image before you can claim a seat at their table. And that, chosen one, creates a rift between the message and the practice, between the ideals of love and the reality of acceptance. You aren't here to fit in, you are here to belong. But when the space where belonging should be is taken up by the expectation to conform, you start to see that the path you're meant to walk may not be confined to these walls. It's no wonder that so many like you, with spirits that crave deeper meaning, have felt the pull to step away, to find where the whispers of the divine are spoken in actions, not just hymns. As we move forward, remember this, it's not the building that defines faith, it's the people. It's you, chosen one, and the connections you make that honor your truth. Next, we will explore why your spirit seeks authenticity and why the church, in its current form, might not resonate with the depths of your being. Stay with me, because understanding this will shed light on your journey and the road that calls you beyond the familiar. Chosen one, there's a reason you've always felt different. A reason why your search for truth and belonging hasn't ended where most say it should. You're not just a seeker of words, but a discerner of hearts. You don't simply hear what's spoken, you sense what's not said. The spaces between the sermons, the energy that lingers even after the last amen echoes off the walls. This is the essence of being chosen. It's not just a title, it's a calling, an awareness that runs deeper than the surface rituals and ceremonies. While many can sit comfortably in a pew, reciting hymns with closed eyes and open mouths, your eyes remain open, seeking, questioning. It's not that you doubt, it's that you know there's more. You crave a space where the divine isn't just discussed, but felt in every smile, every touch, every glance shared across the room. But what happens when that space, where you expect warmth and spiritual nourishment, falls short? You feel it, don't you? The subtle tension between what the church claims to be and what it sometimes is. To you, faith is more than routine, more than Sunday mornings. It's a living, breathing force that you yearn to see reflected in those around you, in the way people care for one another, in the way they reach out without hesitation or judgment. And yet, when that expectation is met with silence or distance, you begin to question, is this where your spirit is meant to grow? Or are you seeking something beyond the sermon, beyond the stained glass? The truth is, chosen one, your spirit is sensitive to authenticity. You recognize when actions align with the soul's calling and when they don't. You sense it when the songs rise with glory, but the kindness falls short in the simple moments, in the greetings, in the way eyes avert when yours seek connection. This is why you stand apart. This is why the path for you may not be lined with the wooden pews of a church, but with the living stones of experience, love, and true community. Imagine this, a place where belonging isn't earned through conformity but embraced through presence, where the message of love isn't confined to the words spoken from a pulpit, but is present in the shared laughter, the open hands, and the deep understanding that no one's journey is the same. That's what you seek, isn't it? The genuine, unfiltered love that exists in its purest form, not clouded by tradition, not bound by human expectations, but free and unconditional. When you sat in those church benches and looked around, you might have asked yourself, why do I feel more connected to the divine when I'm alone, under the stars, than I do here? It's not because your faith is lacking. It's because your spirit recognizes where truth resides. And sometimes, the truth isn't contained within walls, no matter how grand they are. Chosen one, it's okay to feel this way. It's okay to realize that while churches can be a place of great comfort and spiritual awakening for many, they may not resonate with you. Your path is unique, forged in the quiet moments when your heart whispers truths that sermons can't capture. It's in the way you feel energy shift, the way you sense when a community's warmth is genuine, or when it's simply for show. So why do you, and many like you, step away? Because you've seen that the essence of your journey isn't to fit into a space that feels wrong, but to find or create one that feels right. You are not abandoning faith. You are embodying it in a way that stays true to who you are. You are answering a deeper call, a call that says, seek love, seek truth, seek where your soul can breathe freely. As we continue, Chosen One, we will discuss what it means to bridge that gap, to understand why the disconnect exists, and how you can find or build a spiritual home that aligns with your path. Because this journey, your journey, deserves a space that matches the depth of your spirit. Stay with me, and together we'll uncover what lies beyond the confines of expectation, beyond the echoes of tradition. Chosen One, now that we've journeyed through the reasons why the traditional walls of the church might feel constricting to you, it's time to turn our focus to what comes next. You've realized that your spiritual path might not fit neatly within the confines of ritual and convention. But that doesn't mean your journey must be one of isolation or solitude. No, this is the beginning of a new way of being, a path that bridges the gap between seeking and finding, between questioning and knowing. You see, spirituality isn't a one-size-fits-all experience. It's deeply personal, tailored to the rhythm of your heartbeat, the texture of your thoughts, the sound of your soul. So, how do you, Chosen One, create a spiritual home when the one you sought didn't embrace you? The answer lies in community. Not just any community, but one that reflects the values and the love that resonate within you. It could be a gathering under the open sky, where stories are shared and silence is sacred. It could be a circle of kindred spirits, meeting to meditate, to share experiences, to lift one another in moments of joy and sorrow. This is the essence of bridging the gap, taking what the church was meant to embody and bringing it into spaces that are fluid, welcoming, alive. Chosen one, it begins with intention. Start by reaching out to those who understand that spirituality is more than a service. It's a life lived in constant connection. Find those who embrace difference, who listen deeply and speak with honesty. Look for the ones who feel familiar not because they match your life experiences, but because they share your commitment to truth, to growth, to love without conditions. Ask yourself, what feeds your spirit? Is it the quiet solitude of reflection? Is it the voices of a few trusted friends discussing life's mysteries around a flickering fire? Or perhaps it's the creative energy of song, art, movement, expressions that bring you closer to the divine in ways sermons never could. Chosen one, building or finding this space isn't just about rejecting the old, but embracing what feels right. It's about understanding that the connection you crave is as unique as you are. It might not look like rows of pews and stained glass. It might look like a community garden, where hands work in the earth as voices hum with life. It might look like a digital community, where miles melt away and souls meet through shared words and ideas. The church is not just a place. It is wherever your spirit finds nourishment and your heart feels safe enough to be open. But how do you start? Especially when stepping away feels like stepping into the unknown. Start small. Begin with conversations. Reach out to those who feel aligned with your search for depth, for meaning beyond words. Seek out groups, spaces, and individuals who value the sacredness of authenticity, who know that it's okay to redefine what church means for you. Perhaps, for you, it is the whispering of the wind as you meditate in nature, or the quiet prayer shared between you and a friend who understands your spirit's song. As you do this, remember that you are not alone. Many like you are walking this path, seeking and building communities that embody the essence of what faith was always meant to be. A connection, not just to a higher power, but to each other, without pretense or expectation. And here's the beauty of it. Chosen one, as you step forward in this journey, you inspire others to do the same. Your courage to question, to seek, to find a new way, echoes out and calls others to rise into their truth. You become a beacon, a living testament to the idea that faith isn't confined. It's as boundless as the love it preaches. So as we come to the close of this journey together, know this: the path of the chosen one isn't about following what's laid out by others. It's about carving out a space where love, acceptance, and genuine connection thrive, whether under the arches of a grand church or under the stars of a vast sky. You, chosen one, are on the right path. Seek it, build it, live it, and let your light guide others who are searching too. Chosen one, as our journey through these reflections comes to a close, I want you to hold on to this truth. Your path is sacred, unique, and entirely your own. Choosing to step outside the conventional, to seek where your spirit feels fully embraced, is not an act of rebellion, but of deep alignment. You're not leaving behind faith, you are embodying it in its most authentic form. Remember, the essence of your search isn't to find a perfect place, but to discover spaces and moments that nourish your soul. Whether it's the silence of a morning prayer beneath the rising sun, the laughter shared over stories with kindred souls, or the quiet moments when you reflect and feel the divine within yourself, these are your churches. These are your sanctuaries. And as you continue to seek, build, and belong, know that your journey lights the way for others. Your story becomes a guide for those who stand where you once stood, hesitant at the crossroads, unsure if stepping away from the known is stepping towards something greater. It is chosen one. And with every step you take, you are showing others that faith doesn't live in the walls of a building, but in the boundless space of an open heart. If this message spoke to you, if you felt seen, understood, and inspired, I invite you to stay connected. Subscribe, share your story in the comments, and let this space be where your journey intertwines with others who walk the same path. Together, we'll explore, support, and uplift each other, not just as believers, but as seekers, dreamers, and builders of a faith that is alive, evolving, and true. Until next time, remember this: chosen one, you are not just a seeker, you are a creator of sacred spaces, a vessel of love, and a living testament to what faith can be when it's set free.